The opinions expressed in this show are not necessarily those of Starved Rock Media. It's Rod Thorson on 103.9 WLPO.
7:13. It's been about a month now we've been dealing with, and, talking essentially about the stock market, dealing with the tariff situation. This president has claimed that the tariffs are going to solve all of our problems. But where it really matters is your local businesses, and many local businesses do import either products, parts, things like that. They come shipping containers from ports. It may be China. It may be somewhere else. The guy that I know that's probably got the most experience, he's been there a number of times across the Pacific, sourcing items, sourcing things. You see it in his store in LaSalle, is Jerry Flippo of the Flippo Group. And he joins us live on WLPO right now. Good morning, Jerry.
Hey, good morning, Rod. How you doing?
Good. Glad to have you here. I know you've got a lot of experience. Take us back just briefly. How long have you been sourcing products from overseas?
Well, my first trip to China was in 1991.
So we're 30 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been doing it for 30 years. I've seen, the tremendous amount of growth in China, and the changes, and, just an incredible amount of experience of seeing what, a lot of people say, China's a bad word. It's like, why you source from China? There's a lot of reasons, and a lot of good reasons. I can get into that more later.
Sure. Yeah, and I'm like most people on the street in America. I mean, I don't want to buy tennis shoes that are made by a 14-year-old chained to a machine. But I don't know. That may be a misnomer, too. I'd like some more.
Those days are long.
Are they?
Gone now.
Are they? Okay, I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah. There's restrictions in China. There's actually unions that are set up in China. So you have 8-hour work days. Workers get paid time and a half. The days of, thinking of these sweatshops don't really exist in China. They do exist in other parts of the world, but not in China anymore. It's very regulated by the government.
Okay. Well, I love your store in LaSalle, and I know you sell a lot of things online. You've been on QVC. You're selling things like, let's take, for example, one of your products, a flameless candle. I know you're talking a little bit online about the flameless candle. We love flameless candles. My wife's got little flameless votive candles from Flippo all over the house. So give us an example of what the Chinese tariff will do to either you or your customer.
Yeah, I'll use some simple math, okay? Let's say, a flameless candle costs us $5 out of China, right? So normally we would always pay a duty. We paid a duty on flameless candles for 20 years. That duty was 37%. Now that duty, or tariff, most people know it now as a tariff. We know it as a duty. So basically a tax.
Yeah.
So the $5 we would pay 37% tax, that goes to the government. The Chinese do not pay for that. Now, you add in the 145% up to 245% duty, that doubles the price to triples the price. To give some of the listeners out there an idea how this works is, we buy from the Chinese factory, we put it on a cargo vessel, we bring it into the port of Los Angeles, and then it goes onto a train, it goes to Chicago, comes here, and then we sell to a distributor, the distributor sells to a store, and the store sells to you, the consumer. Mm-hmm. All along that path, there's a little bit of markup, so everybody along the way can make a little bit of money. Now with the tariff, it doubles and triples the price. So a candle that was $19.95 at retail before, now will be over $40 to $45. That's just a simple example. Crazy.
I'm not in the business of selling candles, but that's a big difference, and I would think that the consumer in America is going to push back against that type of inflation, that type of price increase on a candle. Your thoughts?
We're going to have to. Yeah, we're going to have to. It's going to affect people. I don't think anybody really realizes. And what I don't like is the news and the current administration saying, "Hey, China's finally paying their fair share." All these countries are paying their fair share. They're not paying anything. We are. It's a tax on us. It's we bring the goods in. We have to pass that on. If we don't pass that tax on, we will lose money, and companies like us will go out of business. So we pass that on. The distributor passes it on. Sure. The retailer passes it on. If you do the compilation of the math, you get 2 times the price of what it used to be.
Well, then let me ask you this. I'll play MAGA devil's advocate here. They'd say, "Hey, Jerry, why don't you just make your candles and make your flameless candles here in America?"
Well, I would love to do that. I have been trying to do that for many, many years. Here's the problem now. So just a year ago, we decided when there was the first tariff, the additional 25% was put on, called the SEC tariff. That's an additional 25 that's stackable on your previous tariffs. We said, wow, this could be an opportunity to make the products finally here. So as we started to set up and look for property and get everything going that we wanted to do, we had to also produce automated machinery, because in China labor is very cheap. In the United States, obviously, it's very, very expensive. So we then designed the automated machinery, and then what we found out was, when we were getting ready to, do all of our math to make this thing work, we're like, are you kidding me? There's going to be 145% on some items and a 245% tariff on machinery. Where's the incentive to make it here? We can't pay $1 million in costs for machinery and then pay the government almost $3 million in tax just to bring the machine here, just to open up a factory here. Now, let me add this. When this happened, I go, I can't believe this can't be real. So I went to a Made in America summit in Chicago about a month ago. I stood there with about 15 other companies. One was an EV company. Guess what? All of us had the same issue. Right. There was a company in southern Illinois that had been producing in China and India. They were getting ready to move all their equipment here. Their tax was $10 million, and they said, we can't do it. We're moving all of our machinery now to India. No more made in the U.S. for us. We can't do it. We can't pay these tariffs on the machinery and then the high tariffs on our parts. It's a shame.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing. Now, and I'm assuming that you would prefer, if it made sense, to make it closer to your distribution center here. Because, I don't know how you do this. Maybe you'd explain, how do you track your shipment from, say, China across the Pacific? What does it take, a month in a shipping container, and then on the train? How do you track your inventory?
Yeah, so when our goods leave a factory, then they get loaded on. It's very simple. They go from a truck. They go into a port in China, usually out of Ningbo Port, which is near Shanghai. It takes about 21 days on the sea to 30 days. It goes into Long Beach. And along the way, we can actually, it's interesting, we can track all of our shipments GPS. We can look at where our containers are at on the vessels and whatnot. So they get into Long Beach Port. Then they get put onto a train. They go from a train to Chicago. They're offloaded there, and then they're brought back down to here to LaSalle, Peru, by a semi. So it's a crazy process. So the answer is yes. If we could make it here, we would all love that. Yeah. That's been a goal of mine for 20 years, to try to figure out how to make it. But the problem has always been this: when we look at making a product here and we look at the cost, we can't get a retailer like Target or Walmart or Menards or Home Depot to buy the product, because they'll say, hey, it's just we don't care if it's made in America, sir. We can, but and then it made in America is going to be too expensive. Our consumers aren't going to pay. We do a lot of flashlights. You're not going to pay $24 for a flashlight. They want to pay $9.95, or they won't buy it.
Yeah. Jerry, this is Jerry Flippo, by the way, of the Flippo Group, and he's been importing products that we use and like in our homes for a long time. We've got a store here in North LaSalle, and they're obviously available online. They've been working on QVC for years. Now, tell me this, Jerry. I've been reading a fair number of business stories about possible supply chain disruptions since about the 1st of April. And as you said, it's got a 30, 45, maybe a 60-day lag time from things that are imported. And, compared to Walmart and Target, you're a small player, okay? In terms of the billions sold. How is this going to affect, or will it affect, the availability of products or goods, whether it's a Walmart or a Target or the Flippo Group? Are these stories about the possibility of supply chain disruptions real?
I don't think the stories are even close to what the reality is going to become, and I'll tell you why. I'm already getting calls from the buyers at Target and Walmart, Menards, QVC. I could go on and on, asking, what do you have domestically? We're canceling all of our import orders. What do you have for toys? We're not going to have any toys.
Really?
I got a call just the other day from the buyer at Target, and she was so upset. She said, Jerry, I know, what do you have? We are not going to be able to get toys. We had to cancel everything. What do you have? They're taking all of our domestic stock. So whatever we have domestically, they want. So, yes, this is going to be a huge problem. I don't think people realize, if you go to Target, about 90% of the goods that are in Target, besides the food and different things, are made in China. So imagine if they're canceling import orders, common things that you might need for your home, they're not going to be there. And you're not going to be felt for another 60 to 90 days because, as you said before, you place the order, you put it on a vessel. All of this, there's about a 2 to 3 month lag time by the time you get inventory in. Christmas is coming fast. Normally, we're shipping Christmas inventory in the next couple of weeks. Well, we're not shipping anything from China right now in the next couple of weeks, so what does that tell you?
This could cause a major disruption if this happens. And as you said, I mean, sometimes people think, wow, it takes a long time to get stuff here from China. But in the whole scheme of things, I mean, that's the blink of an eye. I mean, our transportation infrastructure, I think, when you think about 30, 60, 90 days to get something here from Hong Kong or from China, I mean, that's pretty quick. Unless you fly it here. I mean, the only way to get it here faster is to fly it here.
And we've done that before. Back in the fidget spinner craze, we were flying half containers from China just to supply orders. It was crazy. Really? And the freight on that was insane. You know, you can only imagine.
Okay, well, I wish you the best. I wish you luck, and I'm really glad that you took to social media and the WLPO social media to explain what's happening here. And we're in the early days of it still, so I wish you the best. Love your products. My wife especially loves the flameless candles.
Well, thank you, and hey, stop in at batteries and things and get your pre-tariff goods.
Yeah, I guess so. Say. Yeah, stock up right now. Thanks a lot, Jerry. Appreciate you being on WLPO.
Thank you. All right.
Jerry,
thank you.
Jerry Flippo of the Flippo Group, and of course his local warehouse is right there, batteries and things in LaSalle. 724, it's 1039 WLPO. 815-223-3093 is the number to call.
There's more Rod to come on 1039 WLPO.